Hey guys, it's Jess. So recently, I finally finished playing the Super Mario Bros. Wonder Nintendo Switch 2 edition plus Meetup and Bellabel park game for the Nintendo Switch 2 system. God, that is such a long title. And I just want to take a bit to give my thoughts overall because, I do sure have some thoughts. Now before I really get into it, I just want to take a moment to talk about Wonder itself. The game released on October 20th, 2023, and I really loved the game. It felt like a breath of fresh air for the series, especially after the new Super Mario Bros. Series, which are fun games obviously. You know, DS was the first new one at the time in years, and it had fun levels and unique bosses. Wii was the return on console with multiplayer, and U, while more of the same, honestly is probably up there with DS in my opinion, having some really fun levels. Yeah, some felt too long, and some didn't have much going on, but still a really fun time overall. But something they all had in common is that, well, they did all blend in together. They all had the same basic ideas, with the same basic world layouts, with the same bosses, especially in Wii 2 and U, and it just got a little boring for most, and fans were really wanting something more unique to come out of 2D Mario, especially after the new series really took over the entire Mario series for a while. So with Wonder releasing and having a more unique take on the series, it felt so relieving. The worlds and levels all had personality. The characters didn't feel like static generic mascots with no expression. They felt more alive. Several new enemies were created that all had silly unique ideas. Shoutouts to the Go Out My Way. They literally walk around and push stuff out of their way. It's beautiful. I love them dearly and want to adopt them. And of course, with the introduction of the Wonder Flower, these levels were able to take on a new form, often changing the entire layout of the level into something completely different. Whether it was making pipes and stuff come alive and move around, or you walk on the walls instead of the ground and have to move around the hazards that were in the air, or even swimming in lava? Yeah, there were a lot of ideas thrown at you, and they were all really fun and made the game feel more memorable and a big step forward. And a lot of the extra levels as well, like the search parties and badge challenges and break time, were a nice change of pace from the main levels, and they were just as fun ideas. So with all that said, what does the Switch 2 edition add, and were they all worthwhile? Other than one of the longest game titles ever and the absolute cramped mess that is the box art? Well, it's worth noting before I get too far that as a Meganist, I still haven't had the chance to try the new multiplayer, so everything I talk about will really be the smaller additions and the single player content. The first addition I know I want to mention is the introduction of Rosalina as a playable character. And as a bit of a Rosalina fan, I was really happy to see she was being added. I imagine it was because they wanted to have some kind of cross-promotion with the Mario Galaxy movie since she played a role in there too, but either way, I was really happy. She plays the exact same way as the other characters, except for Yoshi and Nabbit, so there wasn't any kind of easy mode handling for her, and that's just how I like it. It meant she was able to use the same power-ups as everyone else, and seeing her outfits for each transformation was absolutely pretty. Her look for the Fire Flower and Drill were really cute, but my favorite is probably her Bubble Flower look. Her dress turns purple and it looks so cute. I really loved it. I don't think I was prepared to see her in an elephant form, and also the One Wonder where the characters puff up and become balloons, but both look nice. God, I'm going to get silly for that one for mentioning this. Why did I say it like that? God. As for performance overall, I think the game looks nice on Switch 2, though I'm pretty sure the original was already at 1080p docked, and now it's either 1440p or 4K, which personally is harder for me to tell the difference. But the game being 1080p in handheld now was a much appreciated improvement. The worlds and levels shine way more now than they did before, and that's just really cool to see. Though that being said, it is weird how the game is still only 60 FPS. I mean, sure, it's probably a locked 60 now, but I don't remember the game struggling to hold 60 on Switch 1. I feel like this game would have benefited greatly for being 120 FPS, especially since in the Switch 2 overview where they were managing 120 FPS, they showed some models of Mario moving, and they were based on his model from Wonder. So like, I wonder... no pun intended.
Oh brother, this guy stinks!
Why, even though they showed that, the actual game the model came from doesn't have 120 FPS, but oh well, I guess. It is what it is. The art style still looks really nice with the increased resolution. Now, onto the main single player editions. I thought the Koopaling fights were fun. I know a lot of people complained about the base game just being Bowser Jr. fights over and over again, but personally, it never really bothered me all that much. Mario bosses already are usually an afterthought, especially in more recent years. I mean, heck, you fought Bowser Jr. over and over again in New Super Mario Bros. DS for the Tower Fortress levels. Though admittedly the game also had the most unique bosses for 2D games probably ever, but I digress. Point is, this isn't really anything new. But I also get that for the rest of the main game being as unique as it was, with the Wonder idea, these bosses felt a little lacking by comparison. Honestly speaking, I think the only reason they had Bowser Jr. as the main boss was because by this point, a lot of people were getting tired of the Koopalings being the only bosses they really used in 2D Mario, and even in spin-offs like Paper Jam and Color Splash. So maybe they just want to have a clean reset for this new take on 2D Mario. But again, I'm just kind of talking random junk. So for the Koopaling bosses, they definitely took the criticisms to heart because they all take place on remixed levels, and they'll have their own unique wonder form that changes the level significantly, and they were all really fun. Each had unique designs and different gimmicks. They really took the Wonder idea to the next level with these fights, and they were honestly the most exciting parts of the upgrade. It also helped that each world had them, so for some of the worlds in the base game that didn't feature a boss, really helped the world feel more significant and have a proper conclusion, and I really appreciate that. It was always weird to me how 2 of the worlds didn't have any kind of boss. I get they were trying to do their own little story segments to switch things up, but upon replaying it, it just felt strange. My only odd thing to have with them is how it does just abruptly end. Like, you fight Morton in World 6, and that's all fine and good. Then right after, you get told where Ludwig is, which, by the way, I think is the coolest fight of them all. And you go and fight him and reclaim the last Bellabel flower, and that's basically it? Like, it's just so weird to me. They had an introduction cutscene when you first enter Bellabel Park, but they get nothing for the end. They just kind of disappear. It felt a little anticlimactic, I suppose. The only way you get the proper end credits for the mode is by gambling your water away and getting instrument flowers for the Poplin's music band, which you get more as you collect the Bellabel flowers, and like, honestly, if you don't do that, then you just get nothing. I admit it's a strange thing to complain about, but it really stuck out to me, and I don't know, it's just a really weird little side story. I do think playing through them as I went through the main game again was a more fun way of going about it, as opposed to just finding them in a completed file, but that's just me. I did a similar thing with Kirby and the Forgotten Land Star-Crossed World anyway, so it just made sense in my mind to do it that way again here. The other addition to the single player content in Bellabel Park are the Toad Brigade Training Camp challenges, and honestly I do think this is where a majority of the content comes from. As I said, they're basically a set of challenges for you to complete in certain levels, and they range from beating a level in a certain amount of time to defeating a set number of enemies, avoiding coins or enemies, stuff like that, and they are fun challenges. They're very creative with what they offer, and it's a nice change of pace from the main game. Some of them get legitimately hard that really make you think about the best way to complete them, or just be like me and brute force and try over and over and over again. Genuinely, the avoid the coin challenges are incredibly evil. I think it was the avoid coin challenge for Flight of the Blooms that legit took me an hour to complete. God, that was rough. But I'm also just bad at video games, so I haven't completed all of them as more were unlocked after beating the game. So I'm sure there'll be more hard ones for me to attempt, and I'm so looking forward to that. Honestly though, even though I've been nice about these things, they definitely feel like things they made just for the sake of having something else for the upgrade. Obviously the main selling point is the new multiplayer, but you need friends of that for the local modes. And for the online mode, you not only need friends, but you need friends that actually bought the game, neither of which I have much of. On top of that, I was never really a fan of how Wonder does online multiplayer, with other players being ghost characters. I suppose it's better than having nothing at all, and I fully admit it's more of a me issue than a game issue. but it's enough that I just don't really care to bother. The game does support Game Share Online, which is neat, but again, it's hard getting everyone together on Game Chat and play, on top of Game Share Online being hit or miss for some. So like, when I can really only look at it for new single player content, it just doesn't feel that substantial enough for me to feel like I got my money's worth. I feel like I only enjoyed it more because I use it as an excuse to replay the main game again, and going through that along with new content just felt like a more natural addition, as opposed to if I just played them on a completed file where I just had to find them and do them. I think that's why I more or less just feel mixed about it as a whole, and the bump in performance and resolution not really feeling that significant just leaves a weird taste in my mouth. I think if you're able to take advantage of the multiplayer mode, then you definitely get more enjoyment out of it, and I hope I can eventually try them out, and maybe then my opinion would change, but till then, I just feel meh overall. But hey, those are just my thoughts. Let me know what you thought about the Switch 2 edition if you played it. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Oh, I completely forgot to mention the most significant addition they made. The Super Flower Pot! With this, you can become Flower Mario, or really, Flower any character you play as, and you can shoot flowers upwards to attack enemies. The power-up was only ever used for the Koopaling fights for some reason. You do get a badge at the end that turns any item you get into the Super Flower Pot, which just feels weird. It's kind of forgotten, but they wear a super cute outfit and have a cute dash animation, so never mind, this game is a 10 out of 10, game of the decade even.